Hello, lovely people. Welcome to today's episode of Reality TV News. Reminding you, we post videos daily, so if you haven't subscribed to our channel yet, smash that subscribe button so that you don't miss any important update. We're starting with Brandi Glanville. She recently appeared in a video, sport a bit of a different look, and she shared what she called some big tea.
Yeah, big tea indeed. And this tea is centered squarely on Kyle Richards from The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills.
Right, RHOBH. So what's the actual allegation here?
Well, Brandi's central claim is pretty explosive. She's alleging that Kyle Richards isn't just a long-standing cast member, but that she's actually a producer on the show.
A producer. Wow, okay. And where does Brandi say she got this information from?
She claims she heard it directly from people close to Kyle, specifically members of Kyle's own family. She even mentioned Kyle's sister and her own former best friend, Kim Richards.
Hearing it from family members, that is a layer. What's the implication, according to Brandi? Why would this producer role matter?
The implication, as Brandi put it, is that Kyle gets an easy cut. Basically, that she receives more favorable editing, perhaps protection from potentially damaging storylines because of this alleged behind-the-scenes role.
Okay, so a suggestion of preferential treatment in the edit. That definitely changes how you might view things.
Absolutely.
And Brandi didn't stop there, did she? She seemed to have broader points about reality TV itself.
No, she really broadened the scope. She made this point saying, it's not what they show, it's what they don't show, which is something you hear sometimes, but she gave a specific example.
Right, what was the example she used?
She talked about how she was, quote, trashed for using profanity on the show. But she claims what viewers didn't see was what happened right before alleging she was actually pushed and thrown down the stairs.
Whoa, okay, that's a very serious claim about something being left out. If true, that completely changes the context of her reaction.
Exactly. It illustrates her point perfectly. She also expressed some really intense feelings, basically saying the show has ruined her life.
That's heavy. And it does tie back to that idea of selective editing shaping the entire narrative you consume as a viewer.
And what's interesting is that Brandi's claims seem to resonate with other whispers or reports from inside the show.
Oh, what else are we hearing?
Well, sources suggest that some members of the RHOBH cast are apparently quite, let's say, sick of Kyle's perceived power or this alleged producer role.
Sick of it how? Like, what's the issue for them?
An insider suggests Kyle often operates like the queen bee. There's a feeling, apparently, that she lacks transparency and uses this supposed producer status to, well, control storylines and kind of get her way.
So the other cast members feel she has undue influence.
Yeah.
That she can maybe steer things in her favor, perhaps unfairly?
That seems to be the gist of it, yes, that this role allows her to sort of manage outcomes and maybe even how other cast members are portrayed, not just herself. It points to a potential power imbalance behind the camera.
And it sounds like this frustration might be boiling over.
It appears so. The information suggests that some cast members are actually trying to, quote, take Kyle down this season.
Take her down. So actively working against her on camera because of these off-camera dynamics or alleged advantages.
Precisely. It suggests these behind-the-scenes tensions and power struggles might be spilling directly into the storylines you're watching unfold.
So thinking about all this, Brandi's claims, the insider info, it really makes you consider the whole idea of authenticity in reality TV, doesn't it?
It absolutely does. How much is spontaneous and how much is managed or influenced by these hidden dynamics?
Yeah. So maybe you watching at home might consider, how much weight do you give to what's shown versus what might be left out, if those unseen moments are as significant as Brandi suggests? Next, we're going to talk about the controversy surrounding Cierra Ortega's recent exit from Love Island USA.
Ah, yes, that one hit the headlines pretty hard.
It really did. Her departure from season 7 was confirmed, linked to some racist social media posts. Cierra's parents, they actually issued this really raw statement on her official Instagram.
Oh, I saw that. Pretty emotional stuff.
Yeah, they called it one of the most painful weeks of our lives. They acknowledged the posts, the headlines, the hurt and the hate.
Which is a big thing for parents to have to address publicly.
Absolutely. And they were clear. They weren't trying to justify or ignore what Cierra posted, but they also pushed back.
Against the backlash.
Yeah, saying the response has gone far beyond just accountability. They mentioned specifically the threats, the cruel messages, the attacks on her family, her friends, even her supporters.
Wow. That's intense.
It is. And they made this plea for, like, compassion and just basic human decency, especially since Cierra hadn't even processed it herself yet, still being in the villa cutoff.
That's a really crucial point. It brings up this huge question, right? Where does valid criticism cross the line?
Exactly.
Where does it stop being about holding someone accountable for their actions and start becoming, well, unwarranted harassment, especially when the person involved hasn't even had a chance to speak for themselves?
Such a tough situation for everyone involved, really.
It truly brings to life the immense pressure and honestly the danger of that kind of online pile-on.
Okay, next update we have about Dr. Nicole Martin and her, well, pretty surprising exit from the Real Housewives of Miami.
Right. She initially said it was about anxiety after her daughter was born.
Yeah, Genevieve. But now there's more to the story.
Mm-hmm.
On her podcast, Scrubs to Stilettos, she dropped this bombshell. She claimed a co-star actually hired a private investigator to dig up dirt on her.
A private investigator? Seriously?
Seriously. And the alleged reason. So this co-star could move from a friend role to a full-time role by having some big dramatic revelation to drop on the show.
Wow. That's next level.
Her co-host, Tiffany Moon, called it evil and vindictive.
I mean, yeah. It's pretty cutthroat if true.
And Nicole basically said this whole incident was a huge factor in her quitting. It made her realize, quote, "These are not my friends." Though she did still mention having beautiful friendships with Julia, Adriana Demora, Gertie, and Lisa.
It really demonstrates the lengths some people might go to, to secure that main cast spot. It creates such an antagonistic environment.
And the fans are already speculating.
Oh, I bet. Marisol Patton.
That's the name floating around, yeah.
Yeah.
Given her ongoing feud with Nicole, it certainly sets the scene for how calculated things can get behind the cameras.
Absolutely.
Next update we have about the Real Housewives of Atlanta. Talk about calculated moves and shifting stories. There's this tangled web involving Angela Oakley, Phaedra Parks, and a man named Marcus.
Oh, the season finale drama.
Right, exactly.
Okay.
So Angela accused Phaedra of spreading rumors that her husband, Charles, was cheating. And initially, Marcus backed this up, saying Phaedra told him to say it.
Which was a huge moment in the finale. But now...
Now, a complete reversal. Marcus is denying Phaedra set it up at all.
Wait, what?
Yeah. He's now claiming Angela Oakley actually blackmailed him to lie on Phaedra.
Blackmailed him. This keeps getting wilder.
Doesn't it? He even challenged Angela publicly, saying, "Say I'm lying, and I will release the entire call."
Whoa.
Okay. And he didn't stop there. He claimed Angela invited him to her gala after the event where the drama went down, and that she basically orchestrated the Phaedra lie. He even alleged she sent a goon to his restaurant to threaten him.
A goon. I mean, it depicts such intricate and frankly manipulative behind-the-scenes stuff potentially going on, way beyond just stirring the pot.
For sure. And then there were leaked texts.
Of course there were.
From Marcus's friend Alex, supposedly showing Marcus admitting she definitely wanted it to be Phaedra, so I didn't know what else to say.
So that sort of implies pressure from Angela's side, maybe? It's all very convoluted.
It is. And Angela's response, swift and clear on X. Said, "See you in court, my love."
Okay, so lawyers are getting involved there, too. Seems to be a trend.
It really does. Next update we have about the Real Housewives of Orange County. And guess what? Another housewife hiring an attorney. This time is Emily Simpson over drama with Katie Janela.
Ah, yes. The babysitter situation from last season.
It's exactly. The season 19 trailer hints their conflict escalates. Just to recap, last season, Katie claimed her daughter, who babysat for Emily, overheard Emily's kids saying unkind remarks about Heather Dubrow.
Which, bringing kids into it, that always raises eyebrows. It poses this important question about boundaries, doesn't it? Especially involving children.
Totally. Emily made that really clear on the So Bad It's Good podcast.
Yeah.
She said she's nowhere with Katie, has no desire to have a relationship with someone that crosses certain boundaries.
It's the wrong words.
Very. She accused Katie of going behind closed doors in the dark and do deceitful things. And the reason she hired a lawyer, she called it scary and a real problem when someone goes outside the sort of unspoken rules of reality TV.
Going outside the show's boundaries. Interesting phrasing.
Yeah. And she also mentioned how tough it is already dealing with, public opinion, DMs, tweets, without having housewife blogger people inserting themselves into the episodes.
That really illuminates the intense pressure cooker these women are in. It's not just the audience. It's other figures trying to get involved in the narrative, too. It adds a whole other layer of stress and potential legal issues, clearly.
Absolutely. Okay. Move away from the housewives for a sec. Next update we have about Summer House star Kyle Cooke. He seems to be in the middle of ongoing feuds with former co-star Hannah Berner and even Craig Conover from Southern Charm.
Ah, the Bravoverse crossovers and clashes.
The Hannah Berner stuff, she's kind of hinted, maybe not so subtly, that Kyle had something to do with her getting fired.
Right, I remember those rumblings.
Kyle's response, pretty blunt. He says he's not the one out there spewing lies, and actually, it's the inverse. But he also says he wants to move past it, hopes to reconcile things with Hannah, and wishes her success.
The classic, I wish them well, but situation. It's hard to know the real story behind the scenes there.
Totally. Then there's the drama with Craig Conover. This seemed to start when Craig invested in Spritz, a rival beverage company to Kyle's Loverboy.
Ah, the beverage wars.
Exactly. And apparently, Spritz put out a press release saying they'd be featured on Summer House. Kyle's reaction was salty. He said, the only press they've received in the last year has had my name on it.
Ouch. Shots fired.
Pretty much. He also claims Craig fed them a bunch of misinformation, presumably about Loverboy or the situation.
This really demonstrates that pressure cooker again. Managing your business, your friendships, your public image, all while sparks are flying. It gets messy.
And speaking of messy, Kyle also defended himself against claims he was rage texting Paige DeSorbo, Craig's girlfriend.
Oh, yeah, that came up.
He claims he was just spitting facts, and the texts weren't really aimed at her, but he was just so discouraged by the whole business situation.
It's tough, right? Trying to manage intense emotions and business stress when everything you say can be screenshotted and broadcast.
For sure. And he admitted he was totally blindsided when Paige called him two-faced during season 9, especially since he felt he checked in with her beforehand. Just shows how easily wires get crossed under that spotlight.
Absolutely. Misunderstandings get amplified tenfold.
Okay, last off for today. Next update we have about Janet Caperna from the Valley. She's been dealing with a ton of public heat and online hate, apparently.
The Valley definitely stirred things up.
It did. And her best friend, Jared Lipscomb, actually went on the Bravo Investigator podcast to defend her.
That's interesting. What did he say?
Well, he described Janet as direct and someone who knows how to handle situations. He sort of contrasted that with how society often expects women to be soft.
Pushing back against perceived double standard.
Exactly. And he pointed fingers a bit, suggesting Kristen Doty might have played a role in pushing this narrative that Janet was just a fan who schemed her way into the group, trying to be like Stassi Schroeder. Jared also shot down a really wild rumor about Janet's husband, Jason, supposedly not wearing his wedding ring 3 years ago.
3 years ago?
Yeah. Jared pointed out they're about to celebrate their 2-year anniversary, so the timeline makes zero sense. Just bizarre stuff floating around.
Sounds like typical online rumor mill chaos.
Right. Jared also apparently mentioned being worried about Brittany Cartwright's safety with Jax Taylor in the past and called Zach Wickham a potential monster in certain scenarios. So you've been setting the scene for some complex group dynamics there.
Definitely paints a picture of some underlying tensions we might not fully see on camera.
And Janet herself spoke out. Next update we have about her directly addressing claims she literally fled the country because of the online hate, which apparently included death threats.
Death threats. That's horrific. Way beyond criticism.
Absolutely terrifying. But Janet, what's fascinating here is how she's directly pushing back, creating her own counter-narrative against what she called clickbaity headlines.
Taking control of the story. Smart move.
Yeah, she posted a video, clarified she didn't flee. It was a much-needed planned family vacation in Switzerland, planned way before the hate blew up.
Good for her for clarifying that.
She also seemed to throw a little shade, maybe, at Kristen Doty. It was about Kristen responding to a fan who called Janet hypocritical for criticizing Danny Bucco's drinking while Janet drinks on the show. And Kristen's response was super cryptic, like, I'm really trying to keep my thoughts to myself.
Oh, Kristen. Always keeping it subtle, or not.
Exactly. And adding to the drama, Zach Wickham apparently liked Kristen's comment, and people noticed he and Janet aren't following each other anymore, even after they supposedly made up briefly.
Wow. So those alliances are shifting fast. It just illustrates how quickly things change, how fragile those relationships can be under the reality TV microscope.
Okay, so that was a lot. We've taken a pretty deep dive into some truly wild reality TV moments today.
We really have.